Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday, July 13th. Today is Wellness Wednesday, and this is the Two Sistas podcast this morning. And what a great morning it is to have such an amazing guest. I would love to welcome to the Two Sistas podcast family, Sarah Thomas. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Wonderful. So I just want to share a little bit. Well, we have a lot to chat about, a lot to cover, but excuse me, I want to share with everyone that Sarah is a personal trainer, fitness instructor, nutrition coach, and a business mentor, along with so many other things. And God bless you for being a fitness instructor. I'm a former certified personal trainer, and I was always interested in that, but that's a story for another time.
Yeah.
Anyways, share with us how you got started in this amazing field.
Well, I really have to go back to my childhood because I have quite the history with weight and eating disorders and all the things that I think a lot of women can really relate to. I started as an overweight child. I was an obese child for many, many years. I went down that path of feeling like, I just didn't fit in. I wanted to be, normal, so to speak, and just fit in with the crowd, when I was a younger child. Fast forward to my teenage years, I was an anorexic teen, ended up with quite a path of an eating disorder with anorexia, trying to recover through that. That actually led me down to overexercising. Once I started eating again, I wasn't healed mentally. I was not healed from the inside. And so I started eating, felt like, oh my goodness, this isn't good. I'm going to put the weight on. So I began over-exercising, exercise all the things off. And that was really in my college years. From there, I continued to over-exercise because it's an illness. Over-exercising is an illness. And I will say that being a fitness instructor, that did not help things out because fitness instructors overtrain every single week. So from there, I really started diving into nutrition in my early 20s and trying to really put the pieces together because I knew what I was doing wasn't sustainable. It wasn't healthy for me, like I said, from the inside out. And once I started diving into nutrition, started putting the pieces together of, okay, eating less, exercising more is not the answer. That's not sustainable. And especially as we get older, we realize that we can't do that. We cannot continue to pound our bodies through all the abuse that we're trying to put it through. And so when I put the pieces together, I went through a mental health journey as well, started to do something that I just guinea pigged on myself as far as nutrition. I implemented some intermittent fasting, some carbohydrate cycling, started working out for just 30 minutes a day, which again, that was like a mental mindset for me shift of doing less, eating more. And what was born was Burn, Fat, and Feast, which is my business now. And I truly started it, and I never meant for it to be a business. It was truly just for me to go down a healing journey of wellness. But when I started it, I realized I needed to get it out to people in the world. And so started reaching out to friends reached out to me, and it just organically grew from there. And so that's kind of how it all began.
Wow. And thank you so much for sharing your story, because as I've always chatted about, there's always a story behind the story. And I so relate to some things that you said. And I just want to go back a little bit because I think number one, when you're a child and you're going through something as sensitive as your weight issues, I know that I believe, for me, it was as an adult, but I believe that I wasn't worthy enough.
Yes.
So my mindset really was what cued me in. And you were trying to, for you, be normal, and your normal is different from somebody else's, and that's okay. But that led you on a path and to be anorexic in your teenage years. and then the over exercising, which I can relate to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, a lot of people may be wondering, at that stage where you had mentioned you were anorexic in your teens, did somebody help you or direct you, or did you just kind of pave your own journey?
Yeah, that's a great question. I wish that I had someone in my corner, so to speak, or I had gone to therapy and really had some guidance with that. I didn't. And, I'm in my mid 40s now. So, when I was in my teenage years, I don't think a lot of that was accepted as it is today to reach out, to find the help. I felt alone, and I really did feel alone for years through my childhood, teenage years, and young adulthood, because I felt like I didn't fit in. I wanted to just be with the crowd. I didn't want to stand out, whether that was being overweight. I didn't want to stand out there. Being anorexic, I didn't want to stand out. I didn't want to bring attention to myself of what I was going through. So I really did go down this path alone for many years. Now, I've recently been through therapy for, all the things. I'm such an advocate for therapy for everyone, no matter if they feel like they have an issue or not. That's a whole nother podcast probably, but yeah, it was a journey of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, trying to figure out what wellness truly looked like for me.
And that's a key ingredient, what wellness looked like for you. And yes, wellness for many people are different things. And I think of wellness as the umbrella. And underneath it are so many different aspects of it. There's transformation, there's getting healthy, and whatever it may mean to somebody else. And part of that too, and I'm just looking at my scribble notes here, part of that too, especially as now you're a very impressionable teenager and being anorexic. And a question that pops into my mind is, how do you go from being a young child, being overweight, to then being anorexic? Because one would look at that and think, wow, that's, I just have to adjust this, I'm so sorry. One would think that is an extreme from one thing to the other. And you navigated that by yourself.
I did. I will never sugarcoat it and say it was an easy journey. But when I look back on that time in my life, I was focused, and like you said, wellness is an umbrella. I could not agree more, like 100% agree with that. It is an umbrella. It encompasses so many aspects of being healthy. But at that point in my life, I was only focused on wellness in my head as a young kid, teenager, was physical. That was it. It was just the physical part of how I looked, how I could perform physically in sports. And so during my journey, I started to realize that wasn't everything. That wellness wasn't how I looked or how I appeared to other people, and that I was worthy of giving myself more, giving myself finally the self-love that I never gave myself before, accepting myself for who I was, and then really truly working on the internal part of wellness, of talking positively to myself, which I don't think that's a atypical thing, right? Teenage girls don't talk well to themselves. That self-talk is so incredibly important. And so that really started my journey and snowballed from there.
Wow. Because what you just described, the physical part of it, but the physical part of it is not only the appearance, but the emotional attachment and our perception of how others would view ourselves. And I love what you said about the self-talk that, that we are worth it. And because how many thoughts do we have per day? I read an article recently, and it was like thousands and thousands of, so if we're filling our heads every day, every moment with, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. Oh, I look fat today. Like, those are real negative antidotes that leads us down a spiral staircase, so to speak.
Absolutely. And, I will say that I have two teenage daughters now. And so this is very, very important to me in my life currently, to teach them how to talk positively to themselves, even if they don't believe it at that moment. Because I say this to my girls all the time, and they're teenagers. So a lot of times I get the eye roll, but I say, girls, what you think, you believe, and what you say to yourself, you believe as truth and reality. And so when you continually tell yourself negative thoughts, that's what you think about yourself. That's what you truly believe. But if you turn it around, you practice the positive self-talk every single day, you'll start to believe it.
That is so true, because I think what young girls and teenagers don't realize is that negative self-talk within our minds, within ourselves, the subconscious really starts to take on that persona.
Yes.
For instance, maybe a change of a new outfit, and you go out with your friends, and, oh, I look kind of crappy. I shouldn't have worn this. Well, we project that image out maybe without realizing it.
Yes. And it shows up. And I think we just don't put enough emphasis on the power of that self-talk and what we're thinking and saying to ourselves inside, but it shows up outside. So for like your example of not feeling good about going out in a certain outfit, we are going to project that physically for that entire night. We're going to hold ourselves differently. We'll speak differently. Our body language will be different all night long because of how we feel about something we chose.
That is so true. And, think of that young, impressionable teenager. Maybe they go out after, they went bowling or something of that nature, and they're sitting there eating. And now there's that prospect of, oh my God, now I'm with my friends and everybody's eating, but, I shouldn't eat.
Yeah. Yes.
And that starts that cycle of self-doubt, of that they're not worthy enough. Oh my gosh. Have you by any chance done any webinars or seminars for teenage girls?
I actually ran a summer camp a few summers ago it was for preteens through adolescence and, those teen years. So that window of time. And it was so, number one, fun for me. Number two, it was incredibly eye-opening to see when kids are in a group, when teens are in a group together and they have the opportunity to open up to each other and express their thoughts and their feelings, they do it openly. I was amazed by that, because I thought, okay, going into this, I'm not really sure what to expect. I'm going to give them the opportunity to open up, give them opportunity to, share how they feel about themselves, and have others come back to say, here's how I perceive you in the positive light. It was probably the best experience for my girls were there as well, but for myself as well as the teens. So what I walked away with that summer camp was that it's there. That our teens want to share. They want to express their feelings. We just have to give them the opportunity and the means to do that in a environment that is not challenging them, where they feel very comfortable.
And that is so true, because, obviously when I was a young teenager, there wasn't social media around. Social media was hanging out the window and yelling for your best friend, who lived in the next house over. That was our extensive social media, if you want to even call it that.
Yep.
So social media today is although it's great in some respects, I think that there's a negative aspect for these young, impressionable women who are trying to make their way and navigate through being a teenager. Depression.
100%. Yep. 100% agree with that. And like I say, I'm in the trenches with my two teenage daughters with that right now. And so speaking firsthand, I could not agree more. Social media is a double-edged sword. There's so many great things about social media. However, for teens, I feel there's more negative than there are positive outcomes to social media. And the bottom line here is that there's too much comparison. And we talked earlier about not feeling worthy, self-doubt. Those are the things that teenage girls are seeing and feeling on social media. They weren't invited to the party. Well, this group of friends had a great weekend and they feel like they didn't. And it's just that constant comparison trap and feeling like you need to do more, you need to be better, when at the end of the day, what we really need to be focusing on with our teens is being true to who they are and knowing that they were put on this earth to be themselves and be individually themselves and truly true to who they are. And that's really hard with social media.
It sure is. I even find as an adult, being a little awkward on social media.
Right.
What do I post? Okay, I'm on camera right now. I didn't have time to put my makeup on. I put my lipstick on. I don't know. Ever since I turned 60, I have to have my lipstick on. Doesn't matter what I am.
I love it.
It's a funny sidebar story of that. Everything that my mother told me about when I was in my 30s, like I didn't like lipstick, all this stuff that she liked. She's like, yeah, wait till you're 60. You're going to love it off.
You'll love it.
You're right, Mom. Right. Okay, now that I got that out of the way, sidebar, I kind of digress now and then. But the point being, it's okay to be ourselves and maybe be a little uncomfortable with being comfortable, or vice versa. I don't compare myself to other people, but I know, for young, impressionable teenagers, this is not just something that happens. Like, this is a regular, reoccurring thing for them. And I'm so happy that you were able to do that boot camp for these teens and I'm sure that they had a blast. Did your daughters have a blast?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Do you mind if I ask their ages?
They are 13 and 15 in August, almost 15.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. My son will be 35 in August. So.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. So we are all the teenage things we are going through. And now my almost 15-year-old is all about driving and what car she's going to have. And, the important things in life.
Oh, absolutely. I didn't get my license till I was 19, but, God bless her. I think that's amazing.
Right.
So I want to talk about, as you go forward in life, and now you're an adult, and you mentioned your mental health journey, and I couldn't agree with you more about the therapy part of it. I myself have gone for therapy, and I'm not afraid nor ashamed to say that I have.
Right.
It really does the body, the mind, the soul very good. Excuse me. If you could share one experience as you were going through your therapy, what for you has maybe stood out the most that you now apply it into not only your everyday life, but into your business?
Yeah, this one's really easy because I've actually ingrained it into my business. We have a motto, progress over perfection, which, I'm sure you've heard something similar in your lifetime, but we live by that. So within our wellness program, we talk about this every single day with all of our members, because number one, I struggled with that as a child. And as I've unpacked everything that I went through from childhood through my young adult years, I realized that yes, I didn't feel that self-worth, but I also felt this pressure to do everything perfectly, which led me to going to the extreme, right? The extreme of anorexia, over exercising. That was always where I went. And, when you look at it at the end of the day here, it was more about me feeling like I had to do it perfectly. You want me to do this? I'm going to do it X, Y, and Z. And this is how I'm going to do it. And it's going to be very rigid. And so what I've realized when I started Burn, Fat, and Feast years ago is that that's pretty normal for women to feel like they have to do everything well, everything perfectly. Being a mom, being a business owner, doing your job, running your errands, all the things need to be done a certain way. Again, that comparison trap that we find ourselves in, but feeling like we have to do things perfect. And I'll go back to social media here too. That's also an issue. I feel like we feel like everybody else, you look on social media, everybody else has had this perfect vacation and they have no laundry on their dining room table, which I have right now outside my door. So, but you don't see those things. And so we fall into that trap of feeling like we have to be perfect because everyone else around us is. And so within our community, that is huge. We talk about giving yourself grace and progress over perfection, taking steps forward, but also during this wellness journey, that means sometimes we take steps backwards, and that's normal. It's part of the process.
Right, because sometimes the normal part of our behavior, even though we know it's good or bad, but if you look at something, if you look at what you're doing in a way that you're being gentle and kind to yourself, and like you said, all right, you may go 2 steps forward and you may go 1 step back, but that is part of the learning process. And to give yourself that grace, to give yourself that progress over perfection, like, okay, hey, I went a step backwards, but did I learn? I always ask myself, did I learn something from that? Did that lead me into a different direction that was even better than what I had anticipated? So I absolutely love how you describe that. So thank you for doing that. Oh my gosh. Now, how did you become a fitness instructor? I obviously, I was a certified personal trainer.
Yeah.
I wanted to become a fitness instructor, but I have a hard time even breathing when I'm exercising. How can I be an instructor?
It's part of the job description, I think, right? Breathe, talk, do the things. So, interesting story. So when I had gone through my anorexia years as a young teen, went to college, again, was not on a great path, obviously, of wellness, but I went to college on a scholarship that, this is terrible, required me to weigh in every week to maintain my scholarship, which that's a whole nother path of, the mental health journey. And, that's what led me to over exercising. But at the time we had to weigh in and we were supposed to make sure that we were working out. We were doing some conditioning as well with our scholarship. So I wanted a job. I really wanted a job in college. And my father, who was paying for college for me out of state, said, your job is your scholarship and your job is good grades. I really wanted to work though. I really wanted to make some money. So my workaround was that I became a fitness instructor because I had to work out. That was part of my scholarship and I could make money. So at the end of the day, my father turned to me and said, okay, fine. You figured out the loophole. Great. So that's where I started doing fitness instructing. And then from there, I got my personal trainer certification, nutrition, and all of that. So, but yeah, that was my, I'll show him type of story.
And I love that because what you had mentioned about your father mentioning to you, oh, I see you found the loophole. And that may have been maybe, and I'm just speculating, like maybe initially he thought, oh, maybe that's a step backward, but actually for you, it was like full steam ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was. And I really think that having that outlet helped me down a healing journey. Of course, I was still over exercising, but it did help me down the path of really being around people who were different and different sizes, different mindsets, and helped me really. It was part of my therapy at the time to figure out what that umbrella of wellness really looked like.
Right. And I think with the wellness umbrella, sometimes, and I do apologize, there's heavy equipment in the area, so I'm not sure if you can hear that.
You're fine.
I do apologize for all that. But sometimes under that umbrella, that is exactly what we need to do. But I do want to go back to the over exercising part, because I think we need to chat about that a little bit further. With my wellness journey, when I initially lost all my weight, that was, and I freely admit it, I knew the one thing that was on top of my list that I can control, like nobody else could absolutely control it.
Yeah.
What did over exercising look for you? Like, was it maybe doing 2 1-hour workouts? Like, what exactly did that mean for you?
So my over exercising really started end of high school, first of college. But when I started doing group fitness, I was teaching just a few classes at first. So I would teach some classes, then I would go and do my workout because that wasn't my workout. And truly, as a fitness instructor, oftentimes it isn't your workout. If you're not doing everything with the class, or you're really focused on the members, as I feel like you should be, oftentimes it isn't necessarily workout, depending on what you're teaching. But I would do that. And then I would go to the gym for at least an hour and a half. Sometimes I would do 2 a days, which would be working out in the morning and then coming back in the afternoon and the evening. And that started, around college. It continued through my mid to late 20s. So it was about a 10-year span of over exercising. And when I look back on it, it got worse and worse and worse, because you get in that mindset of more is better, more is better. Let me do more. I'm not where I am yet. That must mean I'm not doing enough. And so as I progressed out of college, I started working at a gym as a fitness instructor, teaching up to 20 classes a week, and then doing my own workout at the gym. So we're talking 2, maybe 3 hours a day I was working out. That's just ridiculous. When I think back on that now, I'm like, that was so ridiculous. And I show pictures often to clients to show them that actually I was heavier then than I am now. My body composition is totally different. I wear 2 sizes smaller in my mid 40s than I did in my early 20s when I was doing all the exercise. So, it's a testament to, we don't have to do more to get to where we want to be mentally or physically. And I just, also to go back to the wellness part, it was mental. It was also mental of, I feel good, right? You feel good when you work out because those endorphins kick in and you're doing something good for your body. But there's that line that we have to know that we need to stop. And if we want to be healthy in our 60s and our 70s and beyond, we can't continue to abuse ourselves.
That is so true. And I love how you explain that in such a way where you're being real and authentic with what you do, and looking back objectively on what you did and how you did it is so important. For me, I know that it was, like you said, it was exercising. Oh, I got to exercise. I got to do more. And when I can remember still looking in the mirror and still seeing the fat adult that I was
Yeah.
before I lost the weight. So my next question is, I think as women, we put too much emphasis when we step on the scale, when we look on at that number.
Amen.
And the other thing that I've noticed, and it's come up a lot lately, and I don't know why, but I'll be, obviously I'm also a certified health coach. A lot of people will say, well, 1 pound of fat, 1 pound of muscle weighs more. And I'm like, no, 1 pound is 1 pound.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you said that.
Has any of your clients, like when you're having these discussions and you chat with them about the 1 pound of fat, okay, well, all right, you got on the scale this morning, it was 150, you went up 2 pounds. Did you, a lot of these scales have the breakdown. Well, if your muscle mass went up, but your clothes feel different.
Yeah.
Like, what would they say to you? And I'm curious to know, because I think that's key as we go forward.
It is. It is key, and it is a problem for, I would say, 95% of women out there who put so much emphasis on what that number says when we step on a device, right? Let's break this down. It is our body's relationship to gravity. That's what it is. Body's relationship to gravity. It ebbs and flows depending on what we ate, where we are in our menstrual cycle, going through menopause, our stress levels, how hydrated we are. There's so many factors to what that number is. And let's just be real clear. If you wake up in the morning and you step on a scale, you have no clothes on, right out of bed, you step on a scale, you could easily be 5 pounds to 10 pounds lighter than if you were to step on that scale at 4 p.m. the same day. Now let's be realistic. Did you gain 10 pounds, like real 10 pounds in 12 hours? No. And so the bottom line with the scale is that we are not educated enough to really understand the relationship of what our body is doing to what that number says on the scale, first of all. And so that's huge for me and huge for my clients, is that I teach them the education. Like, the education is huge. What does the scale represent? Why do we step on it? And I tell our clients not to step on it. I actually tell them, step on it when you start, just to have a baseline, but do not step on it for 3 months, because our body changes so much. And like you said, yes, some of our scales will show us, your muscle mass and your bone density. Are they super accurate? Some are, some aren't, right? So there's that. It's kind of like your watch. It can be super accurate with some things, very inaccurate with other things. So it's a double-edged sword with all the technology that we have. But with the scale, I want to teach our clients that when you change your muscle mass, that number may change. It may go up. It may very well go up. It doesn't mean that muscle weighs more than fat, because a pound of muscle and a pound of fat is a pound, however you slice or dice it. And that analogy drives me insane. It is a pound either way. It looks different though. It looks different. And so, you have a pound of fat that's this big and a pound of muscle is here. They take up very different real estate in your body, right? The real estate is very different. So you could gain 2 pounds of muscle, but look leaner and toner than if you had just 1 pound of fat. And so I think that's really what the analogy is trying to represent. Not very well, but they look very different. The pound and the pound look different in your body, but it goes back to the education. It goes back to learning the why behind the how. And that is like my biggest thing. If I can do anything on this earth, I want to teach women why they're doing what they're doing, what is happening from the inside out. And the scale is a big part of it, because what's the first thing we do when we go to a doctor's office?
Step on
the scale. And then they'll tell us, you're overweight, you're underweight, it's so ingrained in what we do on a daily basis. And so to get our mindset out of we're not who we are, that number does not define who we are, is a process.
Amen.
Just like I mentioned with my wellness journey, it's a process. It is a step-by-step understanding and having that community, which is something that we also implement in our program, but having that community of women who've been through the process, who can help guide you, is also key. So that education and just that support from other people is huge.
It sure is. And, thank you so much. And next time I go to the doctor's office, and I have to step on the scale, I'm just going to say, this is my body's relationship to gravity. Just saying,
right. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you before I step on here.
And I love what you said about, I'm trying to read my notes here, that the muscle and the fat takes up different real estate. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to have to steal that phrase, just saying.
Yeah, go for it. But it's true. And that's part of one of the pictures that I show clients from my 20s and into my 40s. That is exactly what my before and after shows is I actually weigh 15 pounds more now than I did in my 20s. But like I said, 2 sizes smaller, and my definition, if you see the picture side by side, you can clearly tell that I am a smaller, leaner person now than I was then. And that's just because of that, the real estate, fat versus muscle.
Right. Thank you. And for those of you just listening, Sarah showed her fist and showed her other hand as wide open, like showing the 5 fingers to just kind of correlate the difference of that. So I wanted to alert you to that. Sarah, this has been such an amazing conversation. How do our viewers and listeners get in contact with you?
We are on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow us at Burn, Fat, and Feast on Instagram. Same on Facebook. You can also visit our website, burnfatandfeast.com. So super simple to find us. And of course, happy to answer any questions if you have it from our conversation. This was so much fun. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. And, just to let everyone know, Carol Sue was going to try to make it on, and she had some physical therapy with, I believe this is for her hip. She has 3 different things going on. And I know that she wanted to be on here, and I know she as well will be inspired with today's conversation. So welcome again to the TwoSistas podcast family. And I hope you will consider coming back on.
I would love it. It's been a joy. Thank you again.
Perfect. Folks, we want you to, just a quick reminder, Carol Sue usually does the little chat about Wealth Wellness Wednesday. It's about having that healthy relationship with money. Maybe you're in the grocery store and the woman ahead of you may be short a few dollars. Maybe she's buying some diapers or formula, and maybe you reach out and just give it to her, or you can do it anonymously, but do it in a way that feels good to you. It's not about the dollar amount. It's about sharing the wealth and spreading the ripple effect. My name is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0 with TwoSistas, and Carol Sue will be on hopefully with us tomorrow. And thank you all for being here today. Have a great day, everyone. Bye for now.